walk over take sit on the couch, and you're gonna get to unbox your official Fan Hall of Fame gear.
Lena, stop being so shy. What the hell?
And Selena, that's your rep.
I'm sorry. No, you do you. This is hot. This. This one is just for you. Oh my god. Wow.
Wow. Look at this.
All right.
It's a big part of my life. It really is.
It's my team, you know. It's the Jets. It's always first priority. I haven't missed a Jet home game since 1974.
They're a part of my everyday. I think in green and white, everybody knows this is a part of me, and something like this, it just makes it that much more amazing.
Every Sunday is something special, and you know, I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Being a fan of a professional sports team is more than a game. It's a way of life. In the shadows of the city that never sleeps, lives a fan base that is unlike any other on the planet. It's a green and white sea of humanity. It's unwavering. And it is loud. They are the heartbeat of a team that spans generations. And they bleed green. They are the Diehards. The Diehards is presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
This was the helmet that started it all. So this was Larry Grantham. Little Larry Grantham, he was called on the Jets. He was a starting middle linebacker. And he signed it, my Super Bowl III game helmet, Larry Grantham, number 60. And you can see in the inside, not exactly state-of-the-art safety in there. And then this is one of my favorite pieces, game-used ball from Don Maynard from Super Bowl III. You know, this is really history, you know, Jets history, AFL, NFL merger history.
History. It's printed, drawn, and painted. Preserved by those with a passion for their team and legacy.
I started going to the games here and there between 74 and 76, but then 76 is when my love of the Jets really took off, and I actually went through 20 years of going to every Jets home game. Things were so simple back then. You go to a game and everything was wrong about Shea Stadium. It was built for baseball. The sight lines were terrible. The sounds were terrible. It was a horseshoe. The wind swirled around. But there was just something about that stadium and walking in there. And unlike today where you have the out-of-town scoreboards and fantasy football and t-shirt tosses, there was nothing back then. It was just the game. And there was something about just the simplicity of it that I absolutely love and fell in love with. One of the things I love about my collection is it starts in 1960 when they were the Titans. There's a lot of young Jet fans don't even know that they were the Titans. So my collection encompasses from the Polo Grounds to Shea to the Meadowlands to MetLife. I have the largest collection of Leroy Neiman original art, and Leroy Neiman had a really important part of his career was with the New York Jets and traveling with the New York Jets. And think Woody's got a nice collection out at the Florham Park facility, but I think mine might even rival his. Leroy Neiman was, obviously an unbelievable artist. A lot of people say he was like the Norman Rockwell of sports art, and his stuff is actually becoming more collectible the longer he's passed away. And he had this unbelievable relationship with the Jets, and he was actually on the sidelines a lot for the Super Bowl. But a couple of my favorite pieces, this is an original Neiman on canvas of John Riggins. Life magazine in '72 did a whole cover story on running backs in the NFL, so it's one of my favorite pieces. These are great. These were from 1965. Obviously, the Jets went out, made a big splash, signed Namath, beat the NFL to get him. And the original Jets owners, there was 4 or 5 owners, each had a commissioned Neiman original painting. And I have these 2, and I have 1 in my office. So I've got 3 of the 5. I love them. This was the definitive book that was written by, I think it was the Daily News reporter, Dave Anderson. He wrote Countdown to the Super Bowl, where he interviewed the players, got the backstories, and then he went to Leroy Neiman and asked him to do a whole bunch of drawings and sketches for the book. And I don't know how I got these over the years, but to give you an idea, here's the sketch from the book, and here's the original in color. And the book turns out black and white. But there was, I think, about 30 of them in the book, and I think I have probably about 20 of them. He was like Namath in art, he was flamboyant. He was at Studio 54. He was at every event. He was the Playboy, doing all the sketches for Playboy. So the fact that he was like the Jets in-house artist was just like such a crazy thing when you think about it. And he was like, he was a rock star in his own right.
I got 2 cats, both Sphinx cats, hairless cats. My first one was little Jetta, call her LJ for short. And then we got her a brother 2 years later. His name is little Joe Klecko, call him Klecko for short. It's just like saying his name, but it's funny when we're watching the games, they kind of, I know they don't know what they're looking at, but they kind of just sit there and watch with us. And, the Jets are a big part of my life. If I had children, one of them might have been named Namath, boy or girl, or Klecko, or, they're my heroes. Got my center, Kevin Maguire. My other center, Nick Mangold. This is my my little escape from reality, my man cave. Some people put it like
For
that.
any diehard, super fandom is a lifestyle. It's an escape into another universe. A green and white alter ego.
As a kid, I grew up in Queens and then moved to Hicksville, Long Island. A lot of my friends were Jets fans, but a lot of them were following teams that were winning. A lot of Cowboys, a lot of Raiders, a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers. But I went to my first game in 1976, played the Miami Dolphins. We lost. I was sold. I was 100% on board. I loved them. And at the same time, I despised the Dolphins, still to this day. Super Bowl III, got about 27 signatures on here from members of that Super Bowl team. Of course, the cheesehead and sauce. I was at that game in Green Bay, one of my favorite games to be at. For me, it was mostly the players. I had strong passion for Joe Klecko, Wesley Walker, Mark Gastineau, Marty Lyons, everything that had to do with the sack exchange, and that was my team. This wall here is dedicated to the Super Bowl III world champion New York Jets. Obviously Joe Namath, Don Maynard, Snell, Philbin, and I placed them in these areas because this is where Snell ran into the end zone, scoring touchdowns, and this is the 1968 program when this was their Super Bowl year, and this is the year after when we were world champions, 1969. I knew from a young age that I was supposed to root for teams from the city I was from. And that meant a lot to me and people that I grew up with, my neighborhood and stuff like that. We're not fair weather fans. We don't go based on wins and losses. I mean, winning is great, and this team has had success in my lifetime. But, we're not like those people that they're Kansas City Chiefs fans this year, and 2 years ago they were Tampa Bay, and before that they loved New England. And you see that at our stadium, there can be away fans around us, and I always like to ask them if they have their license, and if they're from Kansas City, and usually they're from Jersey. And we're not front runners, we're not fair weather, we're diehard fans. This team with Revis and Corbett, Wayne Corbett missed a third down, kind of, symbolizes what a true gritty Jet fan is all about. This is good guy. My favorite player at that time was definitely Joe Klecko. He reminded me of the Hulk, and I happen to be a big fan of the Hulk comic hero. He was a life-size, real comic hero. I mean, I knew that the Hulk was fictional, even as a kid, but watching him run onto the field and waving his hands and just the way he played, to me, he was real-life superhero. I loved comics as a kid, and the Hulk was my guy. And when I compared him to these life-size football players like Joe Klecko, I was like, man, it's so close. And in 1978, two really good things happened. The Jets started to win games, and the Hulk series came out with Lou Ferrigno. And those were my two loves as an 8-year-old. I loved both things. And in 2003, Marvel came out with Hulk hands. And I went and bought a few pair because I'm a comic collector. I don't even remember how many I bought, but I came home and I put them on and they made noises, and then I started to think, man, these would look really cool with my jersey. I don't know why. So I wore them to the next game, and I've been wearing them every game since. And then this is my little area for my Hulk hand stuff. I'm a veteran, so I always keep an American flag here. And all my Hulk hands, these special ones made by El Chapo, they're my favorite. My helmets, my jerseys, a lot of signatures on these. These guys have seen a lot of games. So these are some Hulk comics. This is kind of the holy grail of Hulk comics. This is Hulk 181, 180, 181, 182. I probably have about 1,000 to 2,000 comics in total. Almost every Hulk edition that's ever been made. But this is kind of known as the holy grail of comics. It's kind of funny, like this is 1968, and this is 2 months before we won the Super Bowl. This is the #1 Hulk yearly edition. And then this one's 1969, which we were world champions at that time. So in between here and here, when these came out, the Jets were royalty. And then I put She-Hulk here, just so he doesn't get lonely. It's been over 20 years now that I've worn Hulk hands to every game home and away that I go to.
Collecting is more than memorabilia. It's about the stories a stitch could tell. The chronicles of a franchise in each piece.
So it began about 30 years ago. I was really enamored with the old Jets, the history of the Jets, the 1960 Titans, the 1963, sale. They started to write to Jet players, one letter at a time, handwritten. And the first guy that responded was Larry Grantham, who was the starting middle linebacker on the Super Bowl team. And I said, is there anything you'd have an interest in selling? I want to get some things from my office. And he said, I have the helmet that I wore in Super Bowl III. And I was like, whoa, the actual helmet you wore in Super Bowl III. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to put it in a box and send it to you, and whatever you think it's worth. And I opened it up, and it was falling apart. And as soon as I got that, I was hooked. So I have the original ticket stub from the first Titans game ever, which is a favorite piece of mine. 1960, New York's 27, Buffalo 3, first Titans win. And then I have a whole bunch of stuff from the Titans, including game-worn uniforms, game-worn helmets, the practice jerseys they wore, so I love all that stuff. Then I have, in 1963, when the Jets became the New York Jets, I have the first game ball from the first win, which was against Houston, autographed by the whole team, which still looks great. And then going to the Super Bowl, I purchased from Don Maynard an actual game used ball from Super Bowl III, which is one of my favorite pieces of my collection. I've got 4 Super Bowl rings, 2 from players, 2 from one from a coach and one from one of the original owners. Ton of game used jerseys and helmets. I think close to 300 between my office and both my offices in here. This was from 10/1/2001. Significance of this was the first home game after 9/11. These were the Western Union telegrams that were sent to the Jets Hotel right after they won the Super Bowl. On behalf of all the citizens of New York City, our congratulations to the players and management of the New York Jets. All of us are proud of you. Your smashing triumph is the greatest upset in the history of professional football. We're looking forward to welcoming our world champions back to New York City. John Lindsay, Mayor, New York. Super Bowl rings, everybody always loves. So this was a guy named Arnold Grant, and that was his Super Bowl ring. The thing that's unbelievable about this one, he never wore it. It's just so pristine and so perfect. So this one was Babe Pirelli. Babe was the backup quarterback to Joe. I got a call from a friend of mine who was another collector, and he said that the Canton Hall of Fame is redoing the Hall of Fame, and they're getting rid of all the original displays of the players when they were inducted. And they were literally throwing out in garbage pails. And he says there's a construction company that has them all. And I called the guy, and he's like, yeah, I've got the 3 Jets. I've got Namath, I've got Weeby Bank, and I've got Don Maynard. And he's like, well, I don't know how I'm gonna get him here. I said, how about this? And it was on a Friday afternoon. I said, how about this? I'll get up at 3 in the morning, I'll meet you halfway. And he said, fine. And I drove halfway, he drove halfway. Met him in a parking lot in a gas station, and gave him the money, and he gave me the displays. These were the actual playbooks for Super Bowl III that the players had. So this was Al Atkinson's playbook. And some of the things, this is Weeby Bank's handwriting. Super Bowl Baltimore, record 15-1. A great effort with dedication can mean everything. And it's just so great. It's so simple, but so great. I'm super proud of being in the Jets Fan Hall of Fame. I mean, you walk into the Foreign Park facility, see my plaque, no matter how many times I see it, which is 2-3 times a year, it still gives me goosebumps. But, I still remember the night, it was late November, got that Foreign Park phone call, on my cell phone in my office. It's just like a dream. He's like, Neil Glad, is this Jay? I'm like, yep. And he's like, congratulations. You're in. I'm like, I'm in. He's like, you got voted into the Jets Fan Hall of Fame. And it just brings everything that I've done over the last 30 years full circle. And, even the Fan Hall of Fame. So this was the actual induction ceremony. There's Neil. Of course, you got Fireman Ed. You got all the other people that were inducted before me. It was just a great moment. And then again, to share it with my family, all of us to be there, and the way the Jets treated us, goes back to we're talking about. It's just family. And the fact that I'm in a small part of it, part of this crazy Jet family, is just unbelievable. Through the years, the Jets had a big display of my stuff in Florham Park when they first moved, and you walked in and they had all of my stuff, and then we did some stuff outside of the games, and I love seeing fans' reactions to it. And the surprising thing to me, it's not only guys my age and older, it's the younger people like it too, because you just see how it all developed. And if you look at a helmet from the 1960s compared to now, you say, why do they even wear these helmets? And if you look at some of the practice jerseys and the jersey, it was just such a different time back then. I think when you're a fan, if you really want to be a diehard fan, you have to know more about just the now. You have to know the history. You don't have to be as crazy as I am knowing the history, but I think you have to know, and you have to appreciate what all these people in the past did to get us here.
This isn't stuff I collect for signatures or to sell or whatever. This is, I come down here and there's no TV down here, but I come down here and I watch the game. And I'll watch Super Bowl III in my head. I'll watch, in that corner of the end zone, I remember when this happened or when that happened. And I just kind of sit here and I reminisce, about Wesley Walker's 4 touchdowns against Miami, about Wayne Corbett on the Miracle on Monday Night Football. I just come down here and I reminisce and I get my head about me, and just watch the games that I've watched before, but in my head. We're different. We're not fair weather fans. We we root for a team that doesn't always have the best outcome with wins and losses, but if you've ever been to MetLife Stadium or Giant Stadium or Shea Stadium and been in those parking lots, and we're a family. You know, you're walking around with Hulk hands and people just start to call you Hulk hands. My jerseys say Hulk hands on the back now, and you know, it's nice. Stopping and taking pictures with some of the fans home and away, and but just getting into the game. I'm there to get into the game and to be loud and proud, and just get people going. I wish everyone in the stadium would be wearing them. For me, it starts at the national anthem. The rockets' red glare, bombs burst in the air, you see those fireworks go up, and then we break down and, AC/DC starts playing, and then, I look to my right, I see Scotty over there up on the railing, I look a little bit more centered, and I see Fireman Ed, and, you look up on the big board and they're starting to get going, and, my heart gets pounding, and I start to get the chills, and the Jets fans going, and I'm raising my Hulk hands up in the air, and Section 128 is going crazy, and, it's awesome. I'm in the end zone doing my thing on third down with everyone behind me in Section 128, and it does two things, I hope. I hope it gets the fans a little bit hyped, and I hope it annoys the away fans behind me.
What does it mean to be a diehard fan?
Obviously loyalty, going to every game, rooting for a win, regardless of the record is, going to away games, being loud and proud. I love the New York Jets. I've loved them since I'm 6 years old. And, for better, for worse, they've always been there for me, and I'll always be there for them. I'm Mikey Hulkhands, and I'm a diehard Jets fan.
Jets really do mean everything. I mean, besides my family, my friends, they're next in the list. I'm Jay Pomerantz, and I'm a diehard Jets fan.
It's just a different fan base.
It was love at first sight from there. It's kind of part of my identity at this point. When you talk about me, I'm introduced as a Jets fan.
You feel it. You get chills talking about it. It's every day, all day.
Every game I go to, every Jet chant I do, I think of my dad.
And it really changed my entire life and future and became so much of my identity.
We all live for these days. There's 8 or 9 of them that I get to go to every year, and we live for these days.
There's 7 days in a week. My mood for them is going to be a result of what the Jets did.
I mean, I don't know too many Jets-centric artists. Artwork aside, I think I'm just like a lunatic fan. I can't watch the game with anybody else.
You can't give up. You can't pick different teams. I've been here for 45 years. Where am I going? People jump on board, they jump off board. I'm not going anywhere. I bleed green.
Can you give me a few words you think describe the Jets fan base?
A few words. Loyal.
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is generational.
I've stayed loyal to the Jets because of tradition, because of family.
Dedicated, Loyal.
Family and inclusive.
If you ask anybody that question, they're always going to say loyal.
Blue collar, tough.
You're never going to waver from the team. You're going to support them through the good and the bad.
I would say on the second part of that, it's hungry.
Well, loyalty, passionate, resilient.
A total passion and a love that is so deep.
When you believe in more than just a winning team, or you're here to see great games or even win championships, we're here for each other. That's what a diehard fan means.
One word. Diehard. Diehard.
Being a fan of a professional sports team is more than a game. It's a way of life. In the shadows of the city that never sleeps, lives a fan base that is unlike any other on the planet. They are the heartbeat of a team that spans generations, and they bleed green. They are the Diehards.